Walk down the butter aisle of any American grocery store and count the tubs. Most of them are not butter. Not cheaper butter, not lower quality butter, not butter at all. Federal standards define butter as at least 80% milk fat churned from cream. Most of the tubs in that aisle contain no cream whatsoever, and several of them, by the numbers printed on their own labels, are less than half oil, which means the ingredient you're buying the most of is water. One of the biggest brands in this aisle got caught quietly cutting its oil content from 64% down to 39%, hoping nobody would read the fine print. Another one confesses in its own name and has been laughing about it for 40 years. And behind almost every tub in the case, no matter how much the labels pretend to compete, stand just two corporations. Today we're going through 7 so-called butter brands to put back on the shelf, the 40-year health claim that ended with a federal ban, and the 3 options that are actually worth buying. Every fact comes from the labels, the FDA record, and the company's own statements. Let's get into it. Number 7, Blue Bonnet. The sky blue package, the sunny branding, the jingle your mother could still sing. Everything's better with Blue Bonnet on it. This is legacy margarine on American tables since before the Second World War, and it's the right place to tell the story that hangs over this entire aisle. For decades, margarine was sold as the smart, modern, heart-healthy choice. Doctors' offices had the pamphlets, television had the ads, butter was the old-fashioned danger, and margarine was progress. Here's what was actually inside that progress. The solid texture of old-school margarine came from partially hydrogenated oils, an industrial process that turns liquid vegetable oil solid, invented in the early 1900s. Partially hydrogenated oils are the primary source of artificial trans fat, and by the early 1990s, the science was in. Trans fat raises your bad cholesterol, lowers your good cholesterol, and drives heart disease. Researchers estimated that at peak consumption, artificial trans fat was contributing to as many as 250,000 heart attacks and 50,000 deaths in America every single year. Denmark banned the stuff in 2003. The FDA didn't finalize its determination until 2015, ruling that partially hydrogenated oils were no longer recognized as safe, with a ban taking effect in 2018. And even the cleanup had a trick inside it. Starting in 2006, products had to declare trans fat on the nutrition label, but anything under half a gram per serving was allowed to round down to 0. So for years, tubs proudly stamped 0 grams trans fat could still contain it, and a family spreading several servings a day was eating grams of a substance their label said didn't exist. The industry didn't just sell the problem, it designed the font size and the rounding rules of the apology. Sit with that timeline. The product marketed for decades as protection for your heart was built on an ingredient the federal government eventually banned for attacking it. Today's Blue Bonnet is reformulated, trans fat-free like everything else, because it legally has to be. But the aisle never apologized. It rebranded. And the modern tubs you're about to see are the rebrand. If your family switched from butter to margarine on doctor's orders sometime in the last century, this entire video is for you. Number 6, Imperial. The stick with the little gold crown, sitting right next to the real butter, shaped like butter, wrapped like butter, priced under $2. Pick it up and read the front, because this brand does something almost honest. In small print, the label classifies it as a vegetable oil spread at a percentage that means the stick is only about half oil. It can't legally call itself butter because there's no cream in it. Here's the detail most shoppers have never heard. It can't legally call itself margarine either. Federal standards require margarine, like butter, to be at least 80% fat. Imperial doesn't clear the bar for the imitation. It's an imitation of margarine, which was an imitation of butter, sold in a butter costume at the dairy case. The crown on the package is doing royal levels of work. What fills the rest of the stick, once you're only half oil, is water, held together with emulsifiers so it doesn't separate in the wrapper. That's why recipes made with Imperial behave strangely. Cookies spread thin and steam instead of crisping, because a quarter of what you measured as fat was water evaporating in the oven. Bakers online have been comparing notes on this for years, whole forum threads of ruined pie crusts and greasy cakes traced back to one substitution the box never warned them about: because a stick that looks like butter next to butter is counting on you to bake with it like butter. The product isn't lying about any of it. It's printed right there on the front, in the spot engineered for you never to look. And who owns Imperial? Hold that question, because it's the same answer as the next brand and the one after that. Number 5, Parkay. If you're over 50, you can hear this brand. The talking tub from the commercials, arguing with everyone who opens it. The lid says Parkay, the tub says butter. That joke ran on American television for decades, and it's the entire brand strategy compressed into 2 words. Say butter enough times, next to something that is not butter, and the association does the selling. What's actually in the tub is the standard formula of this entire category: water and vegetable oils, emulsifiers to hold the marriage together, salt, added vitamins, and flavoring engineered to impersonate the dairy that isn't there. No cream, no churn. The butter in those commercials was always the punchline, never the contents. And there's a reason the impersonation has to be this theatrical. For most of American history, the law actively fought it. Margarine was once so notorious for posing as butter that states taxed it, restricted it, and several even banned selling it dyed yellow, forcing companies to ship it white with a color capsule for customers to knead in at home. The entire legal architecture existed because lawmakers understood the product's core strategy was impersonation. The laws eventually fell. The strategy never changed. It just moved from the courtroom to the ad agency, and the talking tub was its victory lap. Parkay is owned by Conagra Brands, one of the largest packaged food corporations in America. Keep that name in your head. Blue Bonnet, from 2 entries ago, is Conagra. Parkay is Conagra. The brand at number 4, the one wearing the health halo of an entirely different lifestyle, is also Conagra. 3 different labels, 3 different price points, 3 different stories on the shelf, one corporate parent deciding what goes in all of them. The competition in this aisle is a stage play, and the same company owns most of the cast. And the next member of that cast doesn't dress like a 1950s margarine at all. It dresses like a health food store. Number 4, Earth Balance. The green and cream packaging, the plant-based positioning, the tub that sells in the natural aisle at nearly double the price of the margarines it's quietly related to. Earth Balance built its reputation with the vegan and health-conscious crowd, and to be fair on the facts, it delivers what it promises on the surface. No animal ingredients, no partially hydrogenated oils, a proprietary blend of palm fruit, canola, soybean, flax, and olive oils. But strip the fonts and the philosophy off the label and read the structure. An oil and water emulsion, salt, lecithin, lactic acid, natural flavor, and coloring from annatto to make it butter yellow. That is a margarine. It's the same product architecture as Parkay and Blue Bonnet, with a nicer oil blend and a worldview. Taste panels of professional butter makers have described it as oily and odd, because flavoring can imitate butter's first note, but not the finish cream leaves behind. And here's the reveal you already saw coming. Earth Balance belongs to Conagra, the same corporation behind Blue Bonnet and Parkay. The plant-based tub at $7 and the retro margarine at $2 are siblings from the same portfolio, separated by branding and a price gap that rewards the company for your good intentions. Buying Earth Balance to escape big margarine is like switching hotels inside the same chain. The lobby changed, the owner didn't. And the pricing tells you exactly how the owner sees you. Same corporate parent, same product architecture, but the tub aimed at conscientious shoppers carries the biggest markup in the case. Because the market research says people paying for their values check the price tag last. If you're plant-based for real reasons, you deserve the honest version of this information. The honest version is that you're buying flavored oil. The oil blend is the entire product, and you should judge it as oil, not as a butter with a conscience. 3 down, and we haven't even gotten to the biggest names in the case. The next one has been on your grandmother's table your entire life, and its own label calls it something you've probably never noticed. Number 3, Country Crock. The name is a farmhouse. The label is a countryside. The tub has anchored American kitchen tables for 50 years, and the whole identity whispers churns, barns, and cream. Now flip it over, because this is the cleanest example on this list of the front and the back telling 2 different stories. The official designation, printed on the packaging, is a 40% vegetable oil spread, 40%, And the very first ingredient, the single largest thing in the tub, is purified water. There is no cream in Country Crock Original. There is no dairy at all in most of the line. The company itself, answering customer questions, describes the products as a blend of plant-based oils, water, and salt. Here's the full ingredient list of Country Crock Original, read out loud, and notice how fast the farmhouse dissolves. Purified water, soybean oil, palm kernel and palm oil, salt, soy lecithin, vinegar, natural flavors, vitamin A palmitate, beta-carotene for color. That's the crock. Water from a pipe, oil from a refinery, pigment to paint it butter yellow, and flavoring to finish the impression. The farmhouse on the label has no cows. Now run the money math, because it's worse than the ingredient math. A tub that is majority water and 40% oil sells for around $4. Real butter sells for $5 or $6. You aren't saving money on the spread. You're paying premium bottled water prices for the water and getting the cheapest commodity oils on earth as a bonus. When the plant-based trend arrived, Country Crock launched something called plant butter, marketed as a new generation product. Food scientists and dairy farmers pointed out the obvious. An emulsion of vegetable oils and water flavored to taste like butter already has a name, and the name is margarine. It's been the name since your great-grandmother's time. Plant butter is margarine with a stylist. None of this is hidden, and that's the point of this whole channel. The 40% is printed on the tub. The water is first on the ingredient list. The information was always there, positioned exactly where 50 years of cozy branding taught you not to look. Country Crock is owned by Upfield, a global spreads corporation, and Upfield is about to come up again immediately because the most famous name in this entire category lives in the same building. Number 2, I can't believe it's not butter. Give this brand credit for one thing. It's the only product in the grocery store whose name is a signed confession. It is not butter. It says so, and it has said so since 1979, with a wink that turned the admission into a 40-year marketing triumph. What the wink covers is the same formula you've now seen 5 times. Water and vegetable oils emulsified together, salt, preservatives, and flavorings doing an impression of cream. The front of the tub legally classifies it as a vegetable oil spread, in the same under-half oil territory as the rest of the category, which means, once again, the headline ingredient by weight is water. And the brand's origin says everything about who this product was really designed for. It launched in 1979 as a low-cost butter substitute for the food service industry, restaurants and cafeterias shaving cents off every meal. The name that sounds like a compliment started as a cost-cutting pitch to institutional kitchens, then got sold to your family as a lifestyle. There's even a spray version now, butter you squirt from a bottle like window cleaner, which is roughly where the impersonation reaches its final form. The believe in the name was always aimed at your taste buds, never at the label, because the label requires no faith at all. It's arithmetic. And here's the corporate punchline. I can't believe it's not butter and Country Crock, 2 brands that have sat side by side pretending to compete for your dollar, are both owned by Upfield. Upfield was created in 2018 when the investment giant KKR bought the entire spreads business from Unilever, picking up this brand, Country Crock, Imperial from earlier in this list, Promise, and a portfolio of others around the world in one transaction. Combine that with Conagra's Stable, Blue Bonnet, Parkay, Earth Balance, Smart Balance, and you can stand in front of the spread case at any supermarket in America and be choosing between 2 companies wearing 7 costumes. The variety is the illusion. The formula barely changes. What changes is which story you'd like to be told while buying oil and water. If this investigation is changing how you look at that aisle, a quick like helps it reach more people. Takes 1 second. Because the #1 brand didn't just sell you a story, it got caught editing the story mid-sentence. Number 1, Smart Balance. The brand built for people who read labels, or thought they did. Heart-healthy positioning, omega-3 callouts. The tub your cardiologist-fearing relatives switched to, specifically because it sounded like the responsible choice. And in 2022, Smart Balance became the textbook case of a practice consumer advocates call skimpflation. Here's what happened, documented by the consumer watchdog Mouseprint and covered nationally. Sometime that summer, Conagra quietly reformulated Smart Balance spreads. The vegetable oil content dropped from 64% to 39%. The omega-3 number on the label slipped from 400 milligrams to 320. Water moved up to first place on the ingredient list, ahead of the oil blend. The tub stayed the same size. The label stayed nearly identical, with the new oil percentage in small print. The price didn't fall. Customers weren't notified of anything. They just noticed their spread stopped melting. The reviews on the company's own website turned into a bonfire. At one point, over 1,100 of the roughly 1,200 reviews were 1 star. Customers called it inedible, wet plaster, a yellow water spread. One wrote, "Water is cheaper than oil, but charge the same price, shareholders rejoice." The extra virgin olive oil variety went through the same cut, and its label quietly shifted from "made with extra virgin olive oil" to "with a hint of extra virgin olive oil," with the first 4 words printed smaller. ConAgra's official explanation was that the changes made the product easier to spread. The customer's explanation was written in 1-star reviews, and the customers won. The company announced it was returning to the previous recipe, and through 2023, the original formula crept back onto shelves as quietly as it had left. No announcement, no new and improved starburst, both versions sitting side by side during the transition, with nothing but the fine print to tell them apart. And consumer watchdogs noted this wasn't an isolated experiment. The same documented wave of skimpflation caught other products in the same portfolio, trimming protein and thinning materials inside unchanged packaging. Reformulating downward in silence isn't a scandal in this industry. It's a standard operating procedure that occasionally gets caught. Think about what this episode proves. A spread that was already mostly not butter got watered down further, invisibly, inside identical packaging, by a corporation betting that nobody reads the fine print. The bet failed only because the product got so bad it physically stopped working. That's the margin of protection you have in this aisle. Not regulation, not honesty. The hope that the shortcut becomes too obvious to eat. So let's leave the tubs behind entirely. Here's what to buy instead, from good to best, and the rule that makes you immune to all of it. Best option number 3. Challenge. If you just want honest butter at a supermarket price, this is the carton. Challenge has been churning since 1911, and it's owned not by a packaged food conglomerate, but by a cooperative of dairy farm families in the West. Read the ingredient list on the unsalted carton, and you're done in 1 second. Cream. That's the list. The salted version adds salt. No emulsifiers, no water phase, no flavoring pretending to be dairy, because it is dairy. Real butter at 80% milk fat behaves the way every tub on the avoid list has to fake. It browns in the pan instead of spitting steam. It bakes the way recipes written in the last 100 years assume. It hardens in the fridge, which is the one inconvenience the spread industry built an empire on, and even that has a $2 fix called a butter dish on the counter, where real butter keeps for days and spreads like silk. And notice the price math nobody runs. A tub that's half water at $4 is a worse deal per unit of actual food than real butter at $5. Because with butter, you're not paying a corporation to sell you water with a farmhouse painted on it. Challenge proves the honest version of this product was on the next shelf the whole time. The next 2 options are what happens when the cow's diet gets better too. Best option number 2, Organic Valley. This is a cooperative owned by well over 1,000 small family farms, not a brand licensed out of a corporate portfolio. And the seal on the carton does real work. USDA Organic on Dairy isn't just about the feed being pesticide-free. The organic rule requires that cows actually graze on pasture through the growing season, with a defined share of their diet coming from grass, verified by inspectors. Remember the lesson from our egg investigation. Companies write adjectives, certifiers run inspections, and you buy the inspection. On a butter carton, organic is one of the few words with an inspector behind it. The butter itself shows the difference. Organic Valley's cultured and pasture butters run richer than the standard, with the flavor complexity that comes from cream that started in a field instead of a feedlot. Cultured, by the way, is a word worth knowing on the good side of this aisle. It means the cream was fermented slightly before churning, the old European method, which develops the deep, tangy flavor that flavor chemists on the avoid list spend careers failing to imitate. It costs more than Challenge, That's the cost of 1,000 small farms and a grazing rule with teeth. And the final option is the one where you can see the difference before you taste it. Best option number 1, Kerrygold. The gold foil, the Irish name, and yes, it earns the reputation. Kerrygold is owned by Ornua, a cooperative of Irish dairy farmers, and the entire product rests on one agricultural fact. Ireland grows grass absurdly well, so Irish cows spend most of the year outside eating it. Grass-fed cream carries more beta-carotene, the same pigment that colors carrots, and it goes straight into the fat. That's why Kerrygold is visibly deeper gold than standard American butter, and that color is the same honesty test as the orange yolk from our egg video. Real diet shows up as real pigment. No flavoring required, no label claim to trust, your own eyes run the inspection on the kitchen counter. 2 ingredients, cream and salt, churned to a higher fat European style that bakers and chefs pay extra for on purpose. And this is where the price objection collapses. Kerrygold runs $1 or $2 more than standard butter, and people call it the luxury option. Meanwhile, the avoid list charges $4 for tubs of majority water. The premium for the best real butter in the supermarket is smaller than the markup on the fake. Set a pat of Kerrygold next to a scoop of any tub from the avoid list and let them both warm up. One softens into glossy gold cream, the other splits toward its water. That side by side is this entire video in 10 seconds, and it costs you $6 to run it forever. Before you close this, here's the rule, and it fits on a sticky note. In the butter aisle, count to 2. Butter is cream, or cream and salt. 2 ingredients, 80% milk fat by federal definition, no water phase, no flavorings. The moment the ingredient list opens with water, or the front of the package contains the word spread, or the percentage printed in small type is a number below 80, you're not holding butter. You're holding an emulsion of oil and water, flavored to remember butter, built by one of 2 corporations wearing 7 different costumes. And carry the blue bonnet lesson with you, because it's the deepest one in this video. This aisle spent 40 years telling your parents the imitation was the healthy choice, right up until the FDA banned the imitation's core ingredient. The lesson isn't that butter is a health food, it's that the marketing was wrong for 4 decades, at industrial scale and full volume, and nobody who repeated it ever came back to say so. So trust the shortest label in the case. If someone in your family still buys these tubs because of what a commercial said in 1985, sending them this video is probably the kindest correction available. And drop a comment telling us which tub is in your fridge right now and whether you've ever read the percentage on the front. Genuinely curious how many people knew it was there.